Hey guys, Into Collect here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, the Wolverine 50 years, the 50th anniversary pack. Here we have the BROOD Wolverine and Lilandra Neramani, Queen Lilliandra of the Shi'ar Empire. So this is a pretty good two-pack, I would say. You know, we get another Wolverine-ish. It is a BROOD figure. We get a full-on Lilandra figure, which is good. You know, I think a lot of us had kind of a makeshift Lilandra that we got with like a silver sable body and then the extra head sculpt that I believe came with the Walgreens exclusive Mystique figure, if my memory serves me correct, and I don't know that it does, but I think that's what it was. So we got a full-on Lilandra figure, and then we get an additional Wolverine figure. Most of these Wolverine Anniversary 2-packs, people are wanting to pick up the 2-pack for the other figure, not the Wolverine figure, and I think that is kind of the case going on here. Before we get into the review, I got my set from BigBadToyStore.com. My pre-order was in there, and I got an email saying, actually, you know what? I didn't get an email saying that pre-order arrival or anything that's going to hit. It just, I was charged, boom, it shipped. I'm like, oh, there we go. So I got it from BigBadToyStore.com. Link in the video description below to see if it is available. I don't know if it's currently in stock right now or not, but I did get mine from BigBadToyStore.com. So let's get into it. So we have Wolverine logo here in the white and turquoise. We got the 50 years logo there at the top. We get this artwork of the Wolverine BROOD figure, or artwork kind of this here on the side. So we got that there, which is cool. The bio reads, Wolverine and Lilandra, Empress of the Shi'ar Empire, face the parasitic BROOD aliens intent on consuming and destroying the Xmen. And because we're dealing with the BROOD here, I brought out the old school Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure, the Queen BROOD. This is one that I think a lot of folks probably don't have, as it is a much older figure. It is the kind of the early Hasbro years of their Build-A-Figures, which were all pretty, I wouldn't say they were all pretty good, but they had some bangers for sure, like the Blob Build-A-Figure and stuff like that. Here's a Queen BROOD. I would love to see Marvel Legends try to do something like this again. It would probably be in those super deluxe mega figure figures that they would do, kind of like, who did they do? MODOK and Mojo, probably something similar to that because of how much stuff they would have going on. I think they could do a good job with it nowadays, but I think it would have to, you know, it would have to be at a deluxe price point to where we are getting something that has the paint apps necessary, the articulation necessary, and all that. I don't really know what articulation this figure has because I really don't mess with it. It's got some moving parts and things like that. I just have it displayed, and I don't want to mess with it too much because it is an older figure, but it does look fantastic. So we will see the Queen BROOD along with the Wolverine BROOD in this video, and I am excited, so let's go ahead and get to it and open this thing up. Okay, so here is the BROOD Wolverine and the Lilandra figure out of the package, and a couple of things. The Wolverine figure is not great. It's not. It looks okay. The head sculpt looks pretty good. I got a problem with the jaw. Arms are cool. The figure itself just overall isn't that great, and I'll get into that. And again, this kind of goes to the whole, these 2-packs are awesome, but one out of the two is really awesome, and the other one typically being the Wolverine figure. I think the exception to that is going to be the Joe Fixit and Patch 2-pack. I think Patch is going to be the better figure in that 2-pack. But other than that, the Wolverine figures just aren't as good. So, you know, the BROOD figure, it's got its issues. When we take a closer look at this one individually, I'll talk about why I feel that way. The Lilandra figure is pretty good. I really have no real problems with it. It's definitely the highlight of the 2-pack, and it's cool that we get a lot of unique sculpting for Lilandra. Specifically, the head sculpt is fantastic. It is not the same as the previous one that we got, so this one is a whole hell of a lot better. I have a couple of things. So like this trident thing staff that she has, it's done in this like translucent yellow plastic, and I don't know why, but it just comes off very cheap and thin and pliable and bendy looking. It's not warped or anything, thank God, and it has no weight to it to where I think it's going to warp over time under its own weight. It's just having it in hand, it just looks so cheaply done. Like, I think you have to have it in hand to really see what I'm talking about. But you could see that this thing's damn near translucent the way the type of plastic that they use for this. So that, you know, that kind of sucks. And then I got a weird thing going on with her right leg, because the left leg fits perfectly with that hip piece. The right leg, for whatever reason, something just seems off. It doesn't connect at the thigh as well as it should. There's a little bit of gap. in there, and I don't really know why that's the case. I don't know if that's something that we're going to see on all of them, or if it just so happens to be mine, which would be a little unfortunate, but it could be one of those things. It is what it is. So we're going to actually take a look at the Brood Wolverine figure first. We'll get that out of the way, because again, Lilliandra is the highlight, so we'll spend a little bit more time on the review with her. So let's get in for the closer look at the Brood Wolverine. Okay, so here's an up-close look at the Brood Wolverine figure. The head sculpt is fantastic. Look at the sculpted detail in the jaw and the mouth, around the eyes, and everything right here on his forehead. Looks awesome. People are questioning why the top of his cowl isn't yellow. I don't know why the top of his cowl isn't yellow. All the artwork and everything that I looked up, it is brown, so I think that is going to be accurate there. So there's that. He does have the articulated jaw, but I will tell you that the articulated jaw is absolute crap, because it comes off extremely easy, and by come off I mean it falls off very easily. Like I had the head back, and it just, the position of it really just popped it on out of there. So you just have to be careful. Yes, you could just kind of slide it right back on in, and it should, you know, peg there kind of right at those cheeks. But it's really loose and just doesn't really hold well. Now, that could be specifically my copy of it, or it could be something that is on all of them. So that is just something to be aware of, something to keep in mind. As you can see, it's already come loose and doesn't like to just stay where it should be. So as you move it around, hey, you might mess it up. Just you are aware of there. Now, this Wolverine figure is based on the old Wolverine body that we've had for a very long time. So here is the old Juggernaut Wave Wolverine. So if you think about that, how old that figure is, there. I'm not saying that it's a bad one, because it is still a good one. As you can see, it still holds up well. You know, there's no real issues there. But one thing that is really apparent is that the legs and the hip pieces, the upper leg piece there, use two different kinds of plastics, and it is extremely noticeable on this figure compared to what it seems before. So looking at the leg here, and then this upper leg hip portion, you can see different types of materials, so different plastics. The way the coloring of the plastic comes out looks a little bit different. You could see it a little bit here, sure. But then when you look at this one's like extremely bad. And I didn't pull out, oh, I did. So I got the Fang figure, and I think this was definitely an issue on this one. So as you can see, these upper leg portions are like a faded yellow compared to like the thighs. The same situation's kind of going on here, but it looks really bad. We have a matte finish on the legs, but then it's the shiny hard plastic on here on the upper legs. It just really stands out, looks really bad. Is that something I can get over? Sure, absolutely, but I gotta point it out so you guys could see it. So there's that problem going on there. We do get new arms and hands, however, for this guy. So as you can see there, we got this gray skin with a little bit of a wash in there, which kind of comes out looking good. It is pinless on the elbows. We are not pinless on the knees, even though we do have pinless knee. Well, yeah, I think actually we do. So, you know, this Wolverine, the training suit Wolverine, is pinless, but this one has the keyed-in portions for those bands. So obviously those legs would not work. But what about like the Xmen 97 figure? Could those legs have worked and these boots have worked? Sure, but I don't know if there's issues between using stuff that's made for an entertainment versus a comic book, or how that would work, or you know, capacity issues if they were being produced at the same time. I don't really know all that, but we have older legs. Now, it's yellow on yellow, so is it that big of a deal? No, I'm good. It's just, you know, when one set is pinless, one is pinned, it just throws it off a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's not so bad. That shoulder, you do get a little bit of paint in there for the skin tone, so that is coming there. He just has a red belt with a silver buckle on there. Not a whole lot else going on there. It's just this color difference there, and then the shiny versus the matte finish is just kind of tough. And then the jaw is just really unfortunate on the jaw. I just wish it worked a little bit better. But the head sculpt, again, is pretty fantastic. I'd mentioned hands being new. These are the animated series hands and claws. So as you can see, they're not real pointy. They're kind of a little bit rounded there. And it's the same style as the animated series claws. The difference is we get fists with the claws in, which is fine, but the ones with the claws popped out, and this is a first, they are not fists. So we actually have like these open hands that aren't quite grip hands, but might be able to grip something. And the reason why we have these open hands with the claws popped, which we never, ever, ever, ever see, is because literally on the back of the box, this artwork shows his hands basically with what we've got here. So that's why they made these new hands for it. So that makes sense. It's just something, again, we typically have not seen when it comes to Wolverine. So if the claws are popped, he's got fists. We don't see him usually with open hands. So that is new here. And you know what? I kind of dig it. Okay, so here is the Lilliandra figure there. The head sculpt looks pretty good. As you can see, it's pointed. These lines on there, they're actually sculpted. That's not like painted on lines or anything like that. The markings on her face looks really good. The digital print of her eyes and lips, really, really good. So here is the previous head sculpt that we got. A little bit, not, I was going to say larger. The face itself looks definitely bigger. The shape of the head is not the same at all, and as you can see there, pretty big difference between the two, because I know people are going to want to see is, can you use this head on there? We're going to see. Let's see. We're going to pop this head off on there. It is on a dumbbell joint there, as you can see. We're going to get this off. It's more of a gray color as opposed to like a silver. It does pop on there, and doesn't look too bad, actually. The silvers don't quite match, and I think that's like okay. It can kind of be fudged. And that actually doesn't look too bad. I will say, though, the new one does look better. So, you know, if at all possible, I would say you should keep the new head on the new figure because it looks a lot better and doesn't sit as high on the neck. I don't think that other one was a real big problem, but just so you are aware there. We have this brooch for her cape there. It is pegged in the back of the figure. I don't know if that's glued in or if you could pop it out. It feels like it's glued down, so just, you know, be aware of that. The line work on her torso is all sculpted, so that is sculpted lines in there, and it looks like there may have been some kind of wash to bring out the coloring of the lines, which is good. We get some nice sculpted detail. These gauntlet pieces are floating pieces, so I think it's just kind of the standard updated double jointed elbow arms for the female figures, and then just with that gauntlet added. But these legs, I believe, are going to be new. We get some armor, some sculpted on pieces there. It is pinless, double jointed knees and everything like that. Back to her weapon, the staff. I don't know if this has a specific name to it. And again, I'm not a big fan of the quality of it. As you can see, it's just such a thin, like translucent yellow piece. It's just kind of looks very, very cheap. So gold paint would have been nice, or just maybe a darker yellow, something that just doesn't look translucent, doesn't look so pink. The sculpt of it is nice, though. Not a whole lot else going on to it. She can hold it and everything. She does come with an extra set of hands. So she has two grip hands on her right and the left, and then she comes with a fist for her left, and then this open, straight out hand for her right. And that is Lilliandra. So let's go ahead now and check out the articulation of both of these figures. Alright, so let's take a look at the articulation for Wolverine. I had mentioned, you know, the jaw was already articulated. He can look up that much, and again, that's forcing the jaw to kind of come out when we do that, so you want to be careful with that. He can look down that much, and again, that jaw is still kind of just hanging on there. And then you could swivel the head around, but be careful because, again, you might get that jaw to loosen up. The shoulder you can get to go straight on out like so. You get a full rotation in there. We got the butterfly joint in there, so you can get the arm to go back quite a bit. Coming forward, you get a little bit of crossbody going on in there, which is good. We got the upper bicep swivel in there, double jointed pinless elbow. So it's kind of a thick arm, the elbow bend. It's double jointed, but you don't get a whole lot of movement in there. As you can see, he's only going to go just over 90 degrees in their wrist swivel, and they do hinge. Standard horizontal hinge on the open hands as well as the fists. Ab crunch on Wolverine. He can crunch forward that much. He can crunch back that much there. He's got the waist swivel in there. His legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward that far, which is really good. The leg goes back actually a little bit. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinned knee. So there are pins at the knee again there. You do have a boot swivel in there. Foot hinges all the way down. You get some hinge up, not a whole lot. Ankle pivot peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So there we go for Wolverine. Or Brood Wolverine, I should say. So not too bad. So looking at Lilliandra now, we can see that she is the updated female body mold, so that is good. Head, you kind of swivels around. She's not going to be able to look in a whole lot of directions. She can look down that much. She can look up that much. It's actually probably more than most because she doesn't really have any hair that's going to get in the way. There. Now, the design of the cape, it drapes over her left shoulder, so you're really not going to be able to get the left arm to go out at all. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. You're just not going to be able to do it. But you could, with the right arm, get it to go straight on out. There is the upper bicep swivel in there. Double jointed pinless elbow gives you a nice bend at the elbow. The gauntlet piece is fairly loose and just wants to swivel around on that forearm, so just be aware of that. The wrists swivel and they do hinge. Grip hands have the standard horizontal hinge, and then the straight hand and the fist that she comes with all have the same horizontal hinge on there. The diaphragm cut, she can tilt to her left that much, not a whole lot. She could tilt to her right that much there, not a whole lot. She can go back a little bit, but then we also have the issue of the cape just really going to get in the way. Coming forward, extremely little. That's always going to be a problem with Hasbro female figures. Just doesn't get a whole lot of motion in there. You get the swivel there at the diaphragm cut. Legs go out that far apart. Of course, it's interesting that my right leg will go out a little bit more compared to the left. She can kick forward that far there. The leg doesn't really go back. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinless knee there. It looks pretty good. You got the kneecap, which is that armor piece. Came out looking really nice. There's no calf swivel or boot swivel of any kind. Foot hinges down all the way. You get some hinge up, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So Lilliandra is still the highlight of the 2-pack, as we get a proper Lilliandra figure instead of a makeshift one that we use a silver sable body for. So she is definitely the highlight. She's not a perfect figure by any means. She's really on par with most of the other female figures that Hasbro gives us. You know, obviously the Avengers, was it the 60th anniversary Target exclusive Black Widow is an exception. You know, she's not at that level, but she's at the level with, you know, the other ones with the double jointed elbows and the bicep swivels and the sturdy legs. So there we go. Okay, as we make our rounds through our side-by-side comparisons, here we have the Queen Brood next to the Brood Wolverine figure. The skin tones don't match, so it's kind of interesting. Again, I would love to see Hasbro tackle a Brood figure now with the updates in terms of, you know, how they engineer and put figures together and everything like that. I do think Hasbro could do a really good job if they put the effort into it. I don't know that that's something that they would do, but I would love to see it in the future. Who knows? You know, maybe we'll get one. And in comparison to the Juggernaut Wave Wolverine, which is essentially the same exact figures, we do get new arms and new head, but everything else is actually going to be the same body, as you could see. So a little bit dated. We got some newer Wolverine, a newer Wolverine body, but you know, obviously this one can't just be straight up used because it's got the keyed in portions for those bands and everything there. But you know, Xmen 97, if they went animated series route, they could do something like that, and that would be pretty cool. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing those legs get used on, you know, comic figure. I think it can be done. But anyway, there are those Wolverines there. And again, I think a lot of us have this makeshift Lilandra figure from before, you know, using a silver sable body. Some people use the cape from one of the figures. I don't remember which one it was. But, you know, there were different pieces and stuff that people put together to try to make it happen. A lot of customs were going around there. This one, though, is a big improvement on the head sculpts. I don't think that old one is a terrible one by any means. I think it could still hold up. In fact, you can use it on this body and it would look, I think, okay. It works. But I do think this new one is in fact better. And then to go with some shi'ar figures, here we have Fang and Gladiator. There's probably more that are out there, but it's late at night, and I kind of grabbed the first ones that were kind of close in proximity, so I can grab them and kind of bring them out so I can do those side-by-side comparisons for ya. And, of course, here, the 2-packs of the Wolverine 50 years. I have 2 of the 2-packs. I have the Logan and Sabretooth, and then now the Brood Wolverine and the Lilandra figure. I think the Wolverine and Psylocke figure are available in some places, and then the Joe Fixit and Patch 2-pack are available in a couple of places. I do not yet have those coming on the way. I may actually, for the first time ever, just be a little bit patient with them and wait for them to come in through my normal pre-order as opposed to putting in an order somewhere to get it right away. That's likely going to change in the coming days. I say that now, but I always tend to think that and never actually follow through with that. So we shall see if I end up doing that. But anyway, you guys let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of this Brood Wolverine and Lilandra 2-pack? What do you think of the Brood Wolverine figure itself? What do you think of the Lilandra figure itself? Is this one that you're going to be picking up, or are you going to be passing on? The Sabretooth and Logan, let me know your thoughts on those ones too, because the Wolverine 50 years is, you know, kind of a sub-line within Marvel Legends, so there's a lot of different figures that relate to Wolverine and give us a lot of Wolverine characters and things like that. So you guys let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of the Wolverine 50 years releases so far? Which one is your favorite? Which one have you picked up? Which one are you looking forward to the most? Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.